Whether it was moral conviction, personal dislike, or clashes of ego, some of Hollywood's biggest names drew the line at a kiss. These refusals caused uproar among directors, rewrites of entire scenes, and whispers across studio lots. Each decision revealed more than just personal preference. It exposed the tension between image and integrity that defined the era. Here are 19 old Hollywood stars who refused to kiss their co-stars and the real stories behind their surprising choices. Patrick McGoohan. Patrick McGoohan, the sharply principled star of the 1960s British spy series Danger Man, known in the US as Secret Agent, made television history with his no-kissing rule, a clause so strict it became legend. Production notes confirm that McGoohan's contract included an explicit ban on romantic contact. No lip locks, no lingering embraces, not even a hint of bedroom play. His reasoning was both moral and artistic. McGoohan, a devout Catholic and family man, believed that a hero should rely on intellect, courage, and restraint, not seduction. He wanted Danger Man's John Drake to stand apart from James Bond's brand of suave promiscuity. Producers initially balked. After all, 1960s TV was awash with flirty spies. But McGoohan's conviction won out. He argued that constant womanizing made spies look foolish, not formidable. "If you kiss her," he said in one interview, "you've lost half your audience." On set, whenever a romantic moment approached, McGoohan would dodge it with clever humor or redirect the tension into dialogue. Directors often shot near misses, Drake leaning in, then pulling away at the last moment, giving the scenes more tension than an actual kiss could. Behind the scenes, crew members joked that McGoohan treated screen kisses like stunts, something for a double. But his approach paid off. Danger Man became a global hit and helped cement McGoohan's reputation as television's thinking man's spy. Later, when he created The Prisoner in 1967, his rules remained unchanged. No romantic entanglements, no distractions, just a battle of intellects and ideals. In hindsight, McGoohan's no-kiss policy wasn't prudish. It was strategic, preserving a rare sense of mystery and moral clarity in a genre obsessed with charm and conquest. Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson's refusal to engage in open-mouthed kisses on screen became one of Hollywood's most poignant ironies. Known for his romantic charisma in the 50s, the dashing leading man opposite Doris Day and Elizabeth Taylor, Hudson embodied the screen lover. Yet by the 1980s, while filming Dynasty, he imposed an unbreakable rule. No open-mouth kisses, no intimate scenes, no exceptions. His co-star Linda Evans later revealed that Hudson refused to open his mouth during their scripted kisses and would rush to rinse with mouthwash between takes. At the time, cast and crew found it puzzling, even comical. The truth, discovered later, was far more heartbreaking. Hudson was secretly battling AIDS, a diagnosis that in 1984 was still taboo, feared, and misunderstood. He kept his illness hidden to protect his career, but quietly took precautions to protect others. By refusing full kisses, Hudson was shielding Evans and any future co-star from possible exposure. What appeared as diva behavior was, in reality, an act of deep conscience and kindness. On set, the mood alternated between humor and tension. Evans joked that their kisses looked like two mannequins colliding, lips barely grazing, eyes darting apart. Yet, after Hudson's diagnosis became public in 1985, those same moments were reinterpreted with compassion. He had been performing while carrying one of Hollywood's heaviest secrets. Hudson's quiet dignity during his illness helped shift public understanding of AIDS. When he finally went public shortly before his death, he became one of the first major stars to humanize the epidemic. His no-kiss rule, once viewed as odd, is now remembered as an act of responsibility and bravery, the ultimate gentleman's gesture in an industry built on illusion. Walter Matthau. Walter Matthau's refusal to kiss Barbra Streisand during the filming of Hello, Dolly, 1969 has gone down in Hollywood lore as one of the industry's most famously sour on-set feuds. The two stars, polar opposites in temperament, reportedly despised each other from the very first day of filming. Matthau, already an Oscar-winning curmudgeon by reputation, found Streisand's perfectionism and control unbearable. Streisand, in turn, thought Matthau rude, sexist, and jealous of her authority. When the script required a climactic kiss between their characters, Horace Vandergelder and Dolly Levi, Matthau flatly refused. Accounts from crew members and biographers describe shouting matches that halted filming for hours. When director Gene Kelly tried to stage the wedding kiss, Matthau balked, saying he wouldn't touch her for $1 million. Eventually, The shot was faked, filmed at a flattering angle, so that he only leaned in while stopping just short of her lips. The audience never knew the difference, but the cast certainly did. The feud became so notorious that even years later, Streisand would refuse to discuss him in interviews, and Matthau dismissed her. Yet, ironically, their on-screen chemistry worked. His exasperated gruffness perfectly matched her pushy charm, and the romantic tension that came from not kissing arguably made the ending more believable. Matthau's no-kiss stance wasn't rooted in morality or modesty. It was pure, unfiltered irritation. He treated the scene like a punishment. As one crew member quipped, "It wasn't acting, he really looked nauseated." In the end, Hollywood magic turned hostility into humor, and the film's famously missing kiss became one of cinema's most accidental masterstrokes. John Wayne. John Wayne's aversion to on-screen kissing had less to do with prudishness and more to do with practicality and personal disgust. On the 1953 Western Hondo, the Duke reportedly refused to kiss his co-star Geraldine Page, complaining that she had terrible breath and poor dental hygiene. According to crew anecdotes and later reports, Wayne went so far as to demand that Page visit a dentist before filming any romantic close-ups. When the request wasn't met to his satisfaction, he insisted the scene be faked. For a man who prided himself on toughness, he drew the line at halitosis. Director John Farrow, recognizing that Wayne's revulsion was genuine, restaged the scene using camera tricks, tight framing, soft focus, and quick cuts to suggest passion without contact. From the audience's perspective, it looked like a smoldering Western kiss. Behind the camera, Wayne was holding his breath. This wasn't an isolated incident. Wayne had a long-standing dislike of overly romantic scenes, often claiming that audiences didn't want to see cowboys smooching. He preferred to project strength and stoicism, not sentimentality. In Hondo, that approach conveniently aligned with his personal preferences. In later interviews, Wayne joked that movie kisses were unsanitary, calling them a damn fool invention of the studios. Whether the aversion stemmed from hygiene or machismo, it became part of his persona, the no-nonsense man of action who didn't need romance to prove his heroism. Ironically, that restrained image worked in his favor. His rugged, kiss-averse cowboys seemed even more masculine to mid-century audiences. For Wayne, skipping the kiss wasn't a weakness, it was part of the brand. Alan Ladd. Alan Ladd's hesitance to kiss his co-stars came not from vanity or dislike, but from a deep concern about his public image. During the filming of The Great Gatsby 1949, Ladd initially refused to kiss his co-star, Betty Field, who played the married Daisy Buchanan. He worried that showing Gatsby, and by extension himself, in an adulterous romance, would tarnish his standing among young fans. Ladd's fan base in the 1940s was unusually broad, including many teenagers and children who admired his clean-cut looks and quiet heroism. As he put it later, he didn't want mothers thinking I was the kind of man who kissed another man's wife. The studio Paramount was alarmed. Gatsby without passion risked falling flat, but Ladd stood firm. He eventually relented for a single brief kiss, filmed tastefully and at an angle, but he insisted that any overtly romantic gestures be minimized. One biographer wrote that Ladd would rather play a kid than a cad, capturing his sense of moral duty to his audience. His discomfort with on-screen intimacy reflected broader Hollywood attitudes of the time. Male stars were expected to project virtue as much as virility, and Ladd's quiet decency fit that mold. He also disliked scenes he considered phony, preferring action or dialogue to forced passion. Privately, Ladd was shy and self-conscious, which deepened his reluctance to perform romantic scenes. He once told a reporter, "Love scenes make me feel foolish." Still, his restraint gave his performances a subdued realism. Audiences sensed longing without ever seeing indulgence. In The Great Gatsby, that emotional reserve fit perfectly. His Gatsby was tragic, lonely, and unable to reach the woman he loved. Ladd's no-kiss stance didn't weaken the story. It made it hauntingly true to its theme of unreachable desire. James Arness. For 2 decades, Gunsmoke fans tuned in to watch the slow burn chemistry between Marshal Matt Dillon James Arness and saloon keeper Miss Kitty Amanda Blake, yet not once in 635 episodes did they share an on-screen kiss. Viewers speculated endlessly. Was Arness too shy? Was there off-screen tension? The truth, according to Arness himself, was simpler and entirely professional. The producers and CBS executives made a creative decision early on that Dillon and Kitty would never kiss or marry. Their relationship, they felt, worked best as a restrained, unresolved bond, a love story defined by everything unsaid. Arness later wrote that the writers believed a kiss would complicate matters. The idea was to preserve Dylan's stoic independence and the show's Western grit. A lawman burdened with constant gunfights and dusty trails simply couldn't have a domestic life without softening his edge. So even though Arness and Blake shared warm camaraderie off-screen, the script always pulled them apart right before a tender moment. Fans, of course, read meaning into every glance and near touch. The absence of physical affection made their scenes more electric. Each shared look in the Long Branch saloon carried years of unspoken longing. Arness, an intensely private man, seemed comfortable with that restraint. His towering frame and quiet demeanor made Dylan a man of discipline, not indulgence. When Gunsmoke ended in 1975, Arness reflected that the no-kiss rule helped keep audiences intrigued for 20 years. By withholding the inevitable, the show turned platonic tension into a kind of mythic romance. As he once joked, if Matt ever kissed Kitty, half the West would have gone up in smoke. Marion Davies. Marion Davies, the effervescent blonde star of the 30s, lived under one of Hollywood's strangest sets of romantic restrictions, all imposed by her lover, newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst. Hearst, one of the most powerful men in America, was ferociously possessive. He financed Davies' films through his company Cosmopolitan Pictures, controlled her publicity, and forbade her from kissing co-stars on screen. It wasn't negotiable. According to accounts from studio insiders, Hearst would personally preview scenes and order retakes if a director allowed so much as a fleeting peck. Davies herself, though spirited and funny, rarely rebelled. She adored Hearst and enjoyed the lavish life he provided at San Simeon, his California castle. To keep him appeased, she accepted film roles that avoided overt romance. When a script required affection, directors filmed kisses in silhouette or cut away before lips touched. In When Knighthood Was in Flower. 1922 and The Patsy 1928. Supposed love scenes were carefully staged so her mouth never actually met her partner's. Hollywood gossips called it the Hearst Rule. Some joked that Hearst treated every leading man as a potential rival and every close-up as a threat. Davies' co-stars learned to play along, turning almost kisses into comedic or wistful beats that became part of her charm. Despite the restrictions, Davies' natural wit and warmth still shone through. She became known for light romantic comedies, where suggestion replaced passion. Privately, friends said she sometimes laughed at Hearst's jealousy, calling him a bulldog guarding his bone. But she never defied him publicly. In the end, her no-kiss career reflected both her loyalty and the bizarre possessiveness of the man who shaped her fame, proof that in early Hollywood, even love scenes could be censored by love itself. Fred Astaire. Fred Astaire's cinematic romance lived in his feet, not his lips. Over the course of his glittering film career, particularly during his legendary partnership with Ginger Rogers, Astaire developed a self-imposed rule: no kissing on screen. For him, dance was the language of love, and any overt display of affection would cheapen that dialogue. In their first 7 films together, from Flying Down to Rio 1933 to Shall We Dance. 1937, Rogers and Astaire never exchanged a kiss. Not one. The absence wasn't an oversight or a studio gimmick. It was Fred's deliberate creative decision. Astaire later explained that he wanted audiences to feel romance through rhythm and movement rather than through mushy cinematic conventions. His chemistry with Rogers, full of witty banter and synchronized elegance, needed no lip service. Every spin, glide, and quick step was a love scene. When they finally did share a brief comic kiss in Carefree 1938, it was played for laughs, almost as if they were poking fun at the idea of having to meet such a cliché expectation. Rumors spread that his wife, Phyllis Potter, had demanded the restriction, but Astaire flatly denied that. His avoidance of kisses was purely artistic, a way to maintain an air of sophistication and restraint. "Let's let the dance tell the story," he once said. Even when Astaire paired with other stars like Sid Charisse or Rita Hayworth, the pattern remained. Romance expressed through perfect choreography, not passionate clinches. For Astaire, kisses were too literal. Love, in his world, should glide, twirl, and sparkle. His screen relationships, devoid of overt affection, achieved something rarer: intimacy through elegance. Every missed kiss only made the audience lean closer, waiting for a touch that never came. Neal McDonough. Neal McDonough might not be from the golden age of Hollywood, but his stance on on-screen romance is straight out of a bygone era. A devout Catholic and outspoken family man, McDonough has long refused to kiss or engage romantically with any actress other than his wife, Ruve Robertson. His no-kissing clause is a rare and risky Hollywood choice that has cost him jobs. In 2010, McDonough was reportedly fired from ABC's Scoundrels after refusing to film romantic scenes. He later clarified in interviews that the issue wasn't prudishness, but principle. "I love my wife too much. I just can't make out with someone else," he said. He considers even a brief scripted kiss a violation of his vows. For an actor raised on faith, marriage isn't something you suspend between action and cut. McDonough's position has earned him both respect and raised eyebrows in an industry built on simulated passion. He said the fallout was worth it, even if it temporarily derailed his career. Eventually, his moral consistency became part of his brand. Casting directors learned that if they wanted McDonough, they'd get intensity, not intimacy. In an era when on-screen chemistry is often equated with realism, McDonough's approach feels almost quaint, an echo of old Hollywood codes of decency. But he's unapologetic. "There are plenty of ways to show love," he said, "without crossing the line." It's a rule that might have baffled producers in the 1930s or 2000s alike, but one that, in his mind, keeps both his marriage and his conscience unbroken. Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington's reluctance to film love scenes isn't about faith, jealousy, or artistic choice. It's about something deeper: audience perception. After a few early career experiences, Washington made an informal rule to minimize on-screen romance, particularly with white actresses, after witnessing how viewers reacted. In Mississippi Masala, 1991, Washington shared a passionate kiss with Sarita Chowdhury, a British Indian actress. The film received critical praise, but in some U.S. theaters, audiences audibly booed during the scene. Washington later admitted that the reaction stayed with him. A few years later, while filming The Pelican Brief 1993 with Julia Roberts, he refused to perform a romantic or kissing scene altogether. Roberts reportedly wanted the moment included, but Washington declined, explaining that he didn't want to alienate his core audience, particularly black women, whose loyalty he deeply valued. The decision wasn't about discomfort or ego, it was a cultural calculus. Washington understood that representation in Hollywood was still fraught and that his screen image carried symbolic weight. Instead of participating in safe interracial romances designed to sell tickets, he chose to focus on portraying dignity, strength, and complexity without romantic distraction. Julia Roberts later praised him as the greatest gentleman, though fans continued to speculate about what might have been. Over time, his no-kiss stance became a quiet hallmark of his professionalism, an invisible boundary that shaped how his characters connected emotionally rather than physically. In a career defined by moral gravity and commanding presence, Washington never needed a kiss to convey chemistry. His power lies in restraint, in the way his eyes and voice carry more tension than a dozen love scenes ever could. Candace Cameron Bure. Candace Cameron Bure, known for her wholesome image on Full House and its reboot Fuller House, has drawn a clear boundary when it comes to on-screen intimacy. In an era where even family movies sneak in a passionate moment, Bure has politely but firmly opted out. Her husband, retired NHL player Valeri Bure, doesn't like her kissing other men on camera, and she respects that. As she's explained in multiple interviews, she often asks directors to fade out or cut away before a kiss happens. The scene still feels romantic, but the physical act never makes it to screen. Bure's reasoning is rooted not in prudishness but partnership. She has said that marriage means honoring her husband's comfort level, and if avoiding an on-screen kiss helps maintain peace and respect, then she's happy to comply. "He's my man," she said with a laugh in one interview. "I save all my kisses for him." This conviction carries through much of her work with Hallmark and Great American Family, networks known for their squeaky, clean romances. When scripts call for a final kiss, she'll often suggest a soft focus shot, a hug, or a forehead touch instead. Audiences rarely notice. Her brand of warm, faith-oriented storytelling fits perfectly with these subtle choices. Critics have occasionally accused Bure of being too conservative, but her no-kiss stance aligns with her broader message of family values and personal integrity. She insists that romance doesn't require lip-locking, that emotional connection, faith, and storytelling can do the same work. It's a gentle reminder that even in modern Hollywood, stars can still set their own moral terms. For Bure, the choice isn't about censorship or image control, it's simply about love, both on screen and off. Danica McKellar. Danica McKellar, who grew up melting hearts as Winnie Cooper on The Wonder Years, has a surprisingly shy approach to screen romance. Now a mainstay of Hallmark and Great American Family films, McKellar openly admits she hates filming kissing scenes. Her reason? Her husband, attorney Scott Svislowski, isn't a fan, and neither is she. "Whenever it's time for me to kiss someone, I just pretend," she once confessed. In other words, she fast-forwards through the smooch entirely. McKellar's method is both creative and charmingly old-fashioned. Instead of filming the kiss itself, she often asks the director to act like it happened, cutting the scene right before the lips meet, then picking up with a smile or embrace afterward. Sometimes, she says, she even kisses her real-life husband at home after the shoot to finish the scene properly. Her avoidance of on-screen kisses isn't contractual, but emotional. McKellar explains that she wants to protect the comfort of her marriage and doesn't see the need for physical realism in romantic storytelling. It's an approach that echoes the modesty of early Hollywood, where suggestion and chemistry carried the story, not physicality. Despite her reservations, McKellar's Hallmark-style romances never feel lacking. Her warmth, sincerity, and sparkle make audiences believe in the love story even without a grand finale kiss. She's proof that tenderness can be implied rather than shown, that old-school decency still has a place in modern entertainment. "I'm just not comfortable pretending to be in love with someone else," she once said, smiling. "It's easier to act like we already kissed and then go home and kiss the right person." In an industry obsessed with passion, McKellar's Restraint feels refreshingly genuine and entirely her own. Claudette Colbert. Claudette Colbert, one of the most glamorous stars of the 1930s, was as particular about her kissing scenes as she was about her camera angles. Known for her perfectionism, Colbert reportedly refused to kiss co-stars who hadn't shaved properly or whose breath offended her, a detail that exasperated directors but amused crew members. During It Happened One Night, 1934, her Oscar-winning performance opposite Clark Gable, Colbert agreed to the romantic payoff kiss only after verifying every condition: lighting, camera placement, and even Gable's grooming routine. The result was an iconic scene that looked spontaneous, but had been negotiated down to the last detail. Her meticulousness wasn't vanity alone. Colbert had a clear sense of image control. She understood how close-ups could immortalize a single imperfect moment. She famously insisted on being filmed from her good side and reportedly walked off set once when a director refused to accommodate her preferences. In an industry that demanded obedience from actresses, Colbert's refusal to compromise made her one of Hollywood's earliest power players behind the camera as well as in front of it. Mae West. Mae West didn't just refuse kisses, she rewrote the rules around them. A master of innuendo and control, West made sure her on-screen persona never appeared submissive, even in romance. "I never let a man kiss me first," she famously quipped. "I tell him when to." This wasn't a joke, it was a professional policy. West rewrote scripts and choreographed scenes so that every kiss began and ended on her terms, ensuring she remained the aggressor rather than the object of desire. Her on-screen kisses were brief, calculated, and often played for humor rather than passion. To West, the power dynamic mattered more than the physical act. In films like She Done Him Wrong, 1933, and I'm No Angel, 1933, she'd tilt her head, smirk, and deliver a kiss that felt more like a punchline than a surrender. Critics later realized her choices were revolutionary. She subverted Hollywood's male-dominated gaze long before the term feminist icon existed. By controlling the kiss, she controlled the narrative. West's kisses weren't about love or lust. They were declarations of authority, delivered with lipstick and laughter. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo turned restraint into an art form. The Swedish-born icon believed suggestion was infinitely more powerful than display, and she lived by that rule in every romantic scene. She often asked directors to cut before her lips met a co-star's, explaining that a kiss is not love, silence is. In films like Queen Christina 1933 and Camille 1936, Garbo conveyed longing through pauses, glances, and quiet tension rather than physical contact. Audiences were entranced. Her mystique deepened precisely because she remained untouchable. Garbo's reluctance wasn't prudishness but philosophy. She once said she wanted emotion, not exhibition. Her approach influenced generations of actresses, proving that romance could burn brightest in Restraint. Even decades later, her face, poised inches from a kiss that never lands, remains one of cinema's most haunting images. Loretta Young. Loretta Young's career was guided by conscience as much as talent. A devout Catholic, she believed her on-screen behavior should reflect her faith. From her earliest films, she refused to perform passionate kisses or immoral embraces, unless the characters were married. When scripts demanded romance, she'd suggest near kisses, a fade out before contact or a tender look that implied love without breaking her moral code. Her studios often accommodated her demands, even adding clauses to her contracts ensuring her modesty on screen. Though Hollywood was growing more permissive, Young's integrity became part of her brand, the virtuous beauty who never compromised. Her restraint wasn't an obstacle but a signature. Audiences respected her for it. She managed to remain both glamorous and principled, a rare balance in golden-era Hollywood. Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen built his stardom on silence, swagger, and self-control, and that extended to his feelings about on-screen romance. Known as the King of Cool, McQueen often resisted filming overtly tender scenes, fearing they undermined the masculine edge that defined him. During The Getaway 1972, he initially refused to kiss co-star Ali MacGraw, arguing that his hardened criminal character wouldn't pause to get mushy. McQueen's distaste for cinematic softness wasn't moral, it was stylistic. He believed audiences admired action, not affection, that a lingering look or a loaded silence said more than a kiss ever could. His approach helped shape the modern movie anti-hero, stoic, emotionally guarded, but undeniably magnetic. For McQueen, restraint was the ultimate act of power. Passions simmered under the surface, never spilling over. Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston approached romance with the same gravitas he brought to his epic roles. Known for playing prophets, warriors, and kings, Heston often rejected kisses he felt would cheapen a film's spiritual or moral weight. On The Ten Commandments 1956 and Ben-Hur 1959, he argued that intimate scenes would distract from the story's higher calling. Instead, he relied on symbolic gestures, an embrace, a farewell, or a reverent gaze, to express emotion without diminishing the grandeur of the moment. His restraint stemmed from artistic conviction rather than modesty. Heston believed epic heroes should embody discipline, not desire. That choice reinforced his image as Hollywood's noble titan, a man whose power came from self-command. Even in love stories, Heston's passion burned beneath layers of stoicism and faith. Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn is not known for a general refusal to kiss on screen, but she did reportedly feel uncomfortable about kissing her co-star, Humphrey Bogart, during the filming of Sabrina 1954. The reasons for her discomfort were personal and complex, reflecting the quiet professionalism that defined her career. Bogart was more than 25 years older than Hepburn, and even he privately admitted feeling miscast as her romantic lead. Crew members later recalled that the pairing felt awkward from the start, a sentiment shared by both actors. Hepburn, who often preferred playing roles grounded in sincerity and grace, struggled to create authentic chemistry under the circumstances. Bogart's temperament also added strain. Known for his bluntness and impatience, he frequently clashed with director Billy Wilder and distanced himself from his co-stars. Hepburn, ever gentle and reserved, found his abrasive manner intimidating, which only deepened her unease during their romantic scenes. Adding to the tension was Hepburn's off-screen affair with their other co-star, William Holden. The affair was well known among the crew, and Bogart, who felt like an odd man out, reportedly resented the dynamic. This made the intimate scenes between Hepburn and Bogart feel strained and mechanical, rather than tender. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed uncovering these hidden stories from classic Hollywood, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.